Hi, how are you? This is Matthew Robert Payne. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If this is the first time you met me, welcome. If you're a regular viewer and a friend of mine, God bless you. So this is going to be called Great Forgiveness Testimony, and I don't feel it's going to be very long. I used to publish my books with like a vanity publisher, publisher that charges you for the service of self-publishing your books. This one was a little better than most of them because he was able to stock books in certain bookstores. So he did a pretty good job. The sad thing was that he was having financial troubles for about 18 months and not only delayed paying me royalties, but also, was constantly asking me for a loan of money for him to get through. And it just became frustrating for me that I was the one paying for his service and using him to essentially lay up Kindle books and lay up the manuscripts for paperback books and hardcovers, and he did audio books. He was very handy. He did a lot of the process, and he made a very good price for me. But for a person who was meant to be getting paid, and he was meant to be the service provider, when it started switching around the other way, that I started paying him and giving him money, it just got a bit too much, and I just felt led to stop. Ever since I stopped, he took all the books out of the bookstores, and it cost him $3,500 for freight and shipping costs to ship the books out of the stores. And it cost him a lot of money. I didn't know that until today. I've been waiting for $1,200 US, and I was getting pretty frustrated. This morning, I got really, really upset with some things he said, and I wrote an email later this afternoon asking him to answer 3 questions. How much does he owe me? When does he think he'll pay me? And if he's going to pay me in installments like he said, how much are the installments going to be, and for how many months will he be paying me? And he had a person handling his emails, and the person wrote back and said, I don't think you fully realise that cancelling your books and getting the books returned out of the bookstores actually cost Bill $3,500, and he's determined to bear that expense plus go on and pay you $1,200 US that he owes you in royalties. And so he is determined to pay you that, and we'll start to pay you soon. And I wrote back and I said, he spent $3,500 and he only owes me $1,200, means he's $2,300 in the red. If he spent $3,500, I forgive him, and I forgive that debt, and tell him he doesn't have to pay me that money now, or just settle and make it nothing. And ever since I left him, I wasn't able to get audiobooks done There's two. There's a company called ASX that arranges audiobooks in the United States, but if you're in Australia like I am, you can't get ASX to organise creating your audiobooks for you. They haven't got a service for Australians. So because he was an American and he was in America, he could do them for me. But when I stopped using his services, the only other company would charge me quite a lot of money to get my audiobooks done. The process through ASX you had two choices. You could get the professional narrator to do the narration for free, and if they did the narration, put all their time and months into recording your audiobook, and they did it for free at no charge to you, the narrator would get 50% of your royalties. Well, Bill was only charging me $39 American to do that whole process, to send the files off, to pick the narrator, to listen to the audio samples, to accept that, to pay to process all of that and accept and approve the audio. It's a lot of work. When I did one book for myself, I had to pay $800, and it was just a whole lot of hassle. I spent a lot of time organising it, and I simply couldn't afford $800 to $1,000 a book to get the audiobooks done. And so I was sort of sad because I like to provide audiobooks. I provide all different formats of my books for people to be able to select and order. Some people only listen to audiobooks, and since I'd left him 9 months ago, I had 9 books that didn't have an audiobook, and that was really upsetting to me. I was waiting for a block of $10,000 or $20,000 to come in, and to actually probably hire someone in a year or 18 months' time to actually do that process of get the 9 books, or the 15 books by that time, or 20 books by that time, all professionally done, and do the process of ordering it. It did my head in just for one book. I can't imagine how much work it would be for 15 books. Currently, I had 9 books that were outstanding that I've published since I left Bill. And I wrote in this email, my mother, Bill, the way he wrote to me this morning got me so angry. I was angry at my friend. I was swearing at my mother. I was so angry. And my mum said, you just need to forgive him. You need to forgive him, and you need to come to grips that he's not going to pay you. Just forgive him and don't expect him to pay you. And I'd worked on that. I'd done videos, and I'd gone to the movies, and I did a good video that's uploading now, and got myself in good spirits. So when I received this email tonight, and the person representing him said he'd spent $3,500 in freight, I was in good spirits. I said, hey, I forgive the debt. I forgive Bill for some of the heated exchanges we've had, and I forgive the debt. And he wrote back and he says, I don't think Bill will be agreeable to that. I think he'll want to pay you. And I said, listen, you could do me a real favour. You could start producing the audiobooks for me again, because I can't get them done from Australia. And if you could get the deal where we don't pay the narrator, but we give the narrator 50%, that would really be helpful and really help me. I can offer, instead of $39 US, I can offer to pay you $100 US per audiobook, and that would really help me out. And Bill's representative wrote back to me and said, well, here's the deal. Bill will do 10 of your audiobooks for free, and you don't have to pay him. All you have to do is sending him your PDF paperback file and the cover file. When you send us the 10 paperback files, 10 paperback PDFs and the 10 cover files, we can get to work straight away and produce them in audiobooks. Any future books that you want made into an audiobook, we agree we'll charge you $100 US. Now, here's the thing. If I was forced to use the other company that I use for one book, each book would cost about $800. So to get 9 audiobooks that I ended up having, that would be about $4,800, about $5,000 it would cost me to get 9 audiobooks. Granted, I'd get 100% of the royalties, whatever the percentage audible, and I think they give you 50% or 40% of the retail price, but I'd get 100% of that 40% or 50% of the retail price. Granted, I would, but you've got to come up with the $5,000 out of pocket before, or $800 each audiobook. Plus, you've got to go through that painful process of organising it and arranging it. And it's certainly worth $130 to me to have someone else go through that painful process. $130 is 4 prophecy requests for me, and 4 prophecy requests takes me 40 minutes. So instead of spending a couple of hours in the process of doing this mind-numbing process of arranging an audiobook, it only take me 40 minutes of my labor to pay Bill. And so he gave me $1,000 US credit. So I ended up only finding 9 books, so I said, make the 9 books pay off the debt. So, my mother's saying, forgive him, forgive the debt, just forgive him and release it. I did that this afternoon after I watched the movie and uploaded another video and was doing things that the Holy Spirit led me to do. So I totally forgave him. And then when I heard from the person representing him, I was able to, with a good heart, to say, just, I forgive the debt. And I said, you could really help me with the audiobooks. And then they counter-offered and said, we'll do 10 audiobooks for free, and then you can pay $100 US. Here's the thing. I'll pay $100 US and get half of the royalties. But if I be excused of spending 2 hours of mind-numbing work organising each one. But now, instead of paying $800 a book and 2 hours of mind-numbing work, I just pay $100 US to get half the royalties. And it's just so amazing. It's $4,800 worth of expense that it would have cost me through the other company, and within 6 months those 9 books will be produced, and there'll be an income coming in for me for no outlay. And I'm just so happy. You know, God is amazing. He teaches us to turn the other cheek. He tells us to forgive people their debts. He tells us to move in forgiveness. Recently, just a couple of weeks ago, I gave my brother $1,000 to buy a car, and it's like been returned to me 5 times already. You know, like God has repaid me 5 times, and he's solved an issue that I couldn't solve. And the only way I could use this other company is do 2 hours mind-numbing work and $700 or $800 a book, or $1,000 a book. So God's done a miracle, and it's a miracle testimony. And I've done a video on false teaching and the false message of give and you'll get 10 times back, and I used a verse in there that he that lends to the poor lends to the Lord, and the Lord will repay him. So whether you're giving it to Christians or you're just giving your money to poor people, like homeless people on the street, the promise of that verse means that if you give $20 a week away to poor people, the Lord will see fit for $20 to be returned to you each week. Not 10 times, but at least what you pay. The Lord says whenever you give money to a poor person, it's like giving the money to the Lord himself, and he promises that he'll repay. And 2 weeks ago, I gave $1,000 to my brother, and today I've got $5,000 worth of service. And that is just amazing to me, and it makes me so happy. And I realize that my video on the false teachers of the prosperity gospel will be quite a hard video and comprehensive to listen to. And this is much shorter, and it's just a great story that if you move in forgiveness and forgive people's debts, it makes room for the Lord to do a miracle. If I had not given the offer to forgive the debt, I don't feel that the grace would have been there for them to say, okay, we'll start helping Matthew again. 9 months ago, Bill was adamant, very upset, and we had a few heated exchanges. Bill was adamant I could never use his service ever again. And the God of miracles has stepped in to Bill's heart and allowed him to serve me and do something for me, which is amazing. What would you prefer to do? Pay $800 and get the whole of the commission, or pay $100 and get 50% of the commission? It's a no-brainer. I'm getting $400 worth of value for $100, and in the process, I'm giving Bill $100 for 2 hours of his time. Here's the thing: if I spent 2 hours of my time doing prophecies, I'd earn $360, not $100, and so I'm getting real value, and God has seems to have restored a relationship, which proves that He's a miracle working God. So, if you've listened to this, if you're new to my channel, feel free to look around my channel and subscribe. If you feel led, if this encouraged you, please put a comment down below. In the description tag is my Facebook address, and you can friend request me, or my website address, and you can order a personal prophecy or financially support me. I look forward to hearing from you in your comments. If you like this story, press a thumbs up, and that will save this video to your video channel as one of your favorite videos. May God bless you and keep you. See you later.